Good morning, everyone. Hope I am audible to you all.
Audible, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. Around 35 members have joined. Let us start the class. It is already 10:30 now. We have waited a lot. In yesterday's part, we were having a look at how to execute the program, but I wish if few more members are there, we will see how that execution will be done because this is also a part of your practicals. So I don't want others to miss it. That's why around 40 members are there, 37, 38 members. We'll wait till the next session, okay, for execution purpose. So do not worry in that execution part. It is simple. It's not so complex. We'll look on to it. So after 11:30, we will have the execution part to be seen. Okay? Or else after 11, we will try. If majority of them joins, we will try to see that execution also. So in yesterday's part, we have seen what is a class, what is an object, and how do we write a class, how do we define a class in Java. We have learned that any class is a blueprint of an object. Blueprint of an object means we are trying to create a data type for that particular object. Since for variables we have got specific predefined data types, for objects we do not have any data type, we were going for defining the classes. So to define a class, we need to concentrate on only two things. First is how many member variables will be there in the class and how many member functions will be there in the class. The member functions are called as member methods in Java. So we came to know that there are two parts in your class. One is the member variables, another is member methods. Now what are these member variables and methods? Member variables are the characteristics that are there with that particular object. Those characteristics will be used for identifying each and every object separately. And what are member methods? They are nothing but the actions that that particular object will be performing in the real world scenarios. So we have seen various aspects in that regard, right? Hello. Good morning, sir. Classman, SJ Singh. हाँ. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. So, yesterday we had a look on to those aspects very clearly. Now, in those parts, we also had a look on to one concept called as constructors. The constructors were nothing but the member methods with certain specialized characteristics. The first characteristics the constructor will have is the constructor's name. Since it is also a method, it should have a name, right? It's a method, it's a function. So that particular constructor should be same as that of the class name in which we have defined it. Just a minute, huh? Hello, good morning, madam. Jiman. Hello, good morning, madam. In class. Okay, I will do it a little later, please. In the afternoon, I'm taking the class. Or else send it through Renuka, I will check it. Okay, I will come and do it. Okay, madam. Thank you. So we were discussing about constructor and we came to know that constructor is a special member function or member method in the class which is having certain specialized characters. The first characteristic is its name should be same as that of our class. Second characteristic is that it cannot have any return type. You know that function will perform some activity. Based on the computation it performed, it will try to return the control back to the caller. Okay, so that the execution continues from that point, as well as it can return some value back to the caller, right? So control will be going back anyway. It will be handled by the compiler. Value is to be returned, that will be specified by the return type of our method. But constructor is not meant for returning any value back to its caller. It will not return any value. That's why it will not have a return type with it. So first characteristics is that it will have the same name as that of the class name. Second characteristics is that it will not have any return type. Third characteristics is that its only and only purpose is meant for two activities. One is for allocation of memory to the object variables. Second is to initialize those member variables. First is to allocate memory to that particular object variables. Second is to initialize those member variables. That's all. So these are some of the specialized characteristics of constructor. Now we have further moved ahead and we had a look on to how do we make use of this pointer or this keyword or this new operator. Sorry, this operator. This is a specialized operator or keyword in Java which is meant for performing 6 different activities. Those 6 different activities we have seen in this particular slide. The first activity was that it was used for referring to current class object. Suppose 3-4 functions are there and 2 to 3 objects are there. In order to identify which object has called which function, we need to make sure that that object name is present. Suppose F1, F2, F3 are member functions defined in a class. And through that class, we created 3 objects, let us imagine. O1, O2, O3. Now, if I just write F1 without specifying object name, whether that function was called for object 1 or object 2 or object 3, this becomes a confusion, right? So to eliminate that confusion, Java provides this keyword which will always point to the current object who has made a call to that particular function. Okay. So in whichever object's function we have made a call to that particular function F1, that particular object will be represented by this keyword. So though we have written just F1 there, the compiler will replace that line as this dot F1. So this will be replaced with the current object who has called that particular function. Okay. Second functionality of this pointer was, this keyword was, it can be used for making a call to the constructor. If you recollect back, one of the characteristics of the constructor was the constructors, though they are the member functions, member methods, they cannot be called explicitly. They cannot be called like in below lines of the code. If I am writing the constructor name, it will get called up. No. In C++ it was possible, but not in Java. In Java, if you want to make a call to the constructor, you need to make use of new keyword only. If you use new keyword, a separate memory block will be allocated and it will initialize the memories values to variables to it. So we are actually creating a new object, but we are not explicitly making a constructor call. But there is a way to make a call to it by using this as a function. This as a function to invoke the current constructor. Okay. Third type of usage was whenever we want to invoke a class method without specifying the object name, just as we were discussing in the just before lines. I wanted to make a function called F1 and without specifying the object, if I make a call, it will be replaced with a particular this keyword and this will be replaced with the current object which has been called. Okay. The first usage refers to the variable, second usage refers to the method. Do remember this particular point. Fourth, it can be passed as an argument. So whenever you want to make a call to a member method, to a method which is currently calling that particular function and you want to pass that particular object inside the parameters, then you can make use of it as an argument. Okay. Fourth one, it is not just for one method, it is also for constructor. If you want to pass an object to a particular method or a constructor, then you will make use of this keyword. This will be referring to the current object only. Do remember this point. Sixth usage was if you want to return the whole object from the class to the caller, then you can return the whole object, current object of the class back to its caller. Okay, to illustrate these things, we kept one example program here. Here I was trying to show you how the member variables will be accessed by this pointer, this keyword. There was a confusion for the compiler if I don't mention this particular point. For example, if I don't mention this, the compiler will get confused. Okay, ID is equal to ID. Which ID is being equal to which ID? Is this ID value getting allocated to this ID value, or this ID value is getting inside this ID value? So which value is getting into which one? That was a confusion, right? That's why the compiler will replace onto the left hand side this statement or attach this keyword to the left hand side so that it becomes this referring to the current object. That means this particular member variable. For object, what is ID? It's a member variable. So it will replace that particular member variable and it will initialize the value. Whatever we have passed here, its value will be copied into the instance value. Okay. So similarly, name, whatever name we have passed there, it will get assigned to the name as instance variable for us. Okay. So this particular keyword was mainly used for what I have demonstrated here, but it can also be used for certain other reasons. Just for example, here I have got one constructor which has already assigned the values of ID and name. I have already written it. So I want one more thing to be added to it. That is, I want city part also to be initialized. So for that reason, I'm having one more constructor here. And in this constructor, I'm just making a call to the previous constructor by using this as a function. Do remember here, I'm making this as a function call. You can see the parenthesis clearly. So by using this, what we have done is we need not write this whole length of code again and again. Here you can argue back with me. There may be a point that there is only one single line written here. Why not you keep that line here itself? Right? What will happen if I just copy this line instead of writing it again? If I just write it here, the matter would have been simple. This may be a point for you, but the problem is here for example's sake, I have demonstrated you a simple program, but in reality, there will not be 3 lines or 4 lines of code. There will be hundreds of lines of code. So will you again and again manipulate all those 100 lines of code? And there may be a reason that you have written this particular function explicitly only to initialize these two variables, so that it becomes very clear that these are two important things which are to be first initialized. Okay? Like for example, your student PIN number and student name are very important for me. But where do you stay? What is the city in which you are staying is not so important for me. So I will not concentrate that much for it. So whenever a constructor is initializing values, for example, here the values are being initialized. In this case, I am not passing any third parameter. So I am not worried about third parameter now. I will initialize these two variables. But imagine if 3 parameters are being passed for creation of an object, then in that case, I need not write that code again for which I have written for 2 parameters. I will just reuse it by using this particular line. Okay, so this was the demonstration for how do we make use of already written code, already written constructor and make an explicit call. Here, do remember we are explicitly calling the constructor. So this will make a reference to the constructor and it will initialize these two variables and try to execute this code. After executing, it will try to assign the city and it will finish with its functionality. Okay. So here we had a look on to how to have the implicit access to member variables. Now we are having implicit access to member functions. How do we make use of that? For example, I have one function here called as m. I have one method m, and this method is taking an object of the same class which is being defined now. So this is the current class for me, and it is taking an object as a parameter of this class. It's doing nothing, it's just printing that the method was invoked or something like that. Just to demonstrate its purpose, I have shown you. So through another method p, I'm making a call to that particular method m. But how do we send the current object back to a particular method? That is being demonstrated here. How are we going to send a current object to the method which is trying to accept it as a parameter? Okay. So what we have done here is we have just made a call to the p. This p, if it has to send the object to m, there are two ways. One is by creating an object of this particular class here itself. Object O1 equal to new S2. And in the next line, just pass O1 here. So, M is small. This was one way. Create it again, because if I create it, what will happen is a new object will get created. It will not, this O1 will not be same as that of S1. Do remember, I am not trying to send S1 here. Sorry, O1 here. I am trying to send S1 here. So what is the second part? Second way, this was one approach, but it was having a drawback that it will send the new object. I don't want this object to be sent. So what is the alternative for it? By using this keyword. The alternative is by using this keyword, and this keyword will internally represent S1. So though we are writing M of this, it is actually equivalent to M of S1. We cannot write M of S1 here. We cannot write M of S1 here because we did not create any object S1. The object S1 was created in the public static void main. It was not created in this particular function, in this method. So S1 is local to this particular method main, and it is not accessible here. But still, if I want to access it, I have to use this keyword. Hope you have understood this. Now, the other way of making use of this keyword for invoking of methods is, for example, if I want to make use of this keyword to create an object or return a particular object back to its caller, then we can make use of this particular keyword. For example, here I have a class, and in the class I am having a public static void main, and I am trying to create new object. So whenever we write new, it will try to allocate memory. Now how it is allocating memory, try to have a look at it. Earlier we used to write the class that we are having here. We have two classes, one is the A, second is test1. And we are trying to create an object of A, right? So how we used to normally create it? We used to write A, O1 equal to new A of. This was the way we used to create the object, right? Have we written the constructor? Have we written A of here in this particular A class? Have we written this particular line? No, we have not defined the constructor here. So now If we have not defined the constructor, can we make a call to it? There was some issue. We cannot do it. So what is the alternative of it? We have written one function here. And that function is get a, some name, some default name. But what it's doing is, it is returning the current object or current memory locations reference which was created through new keyword. Actually, who called this particular get a function? Get a function was called by new operator. Okay, get a function was called by whom? New operator for allocation of memory. Now, whoever has called it, once the object is created, this will refer to the current object which got created, and it will return back that particular value here. It will return back the object value. Let us imagine the object that was created was tmp, and it will become tmp.msg. Okay? So tmp.msg will be calling the msg function, and it will execute hello world. So this is another way around for creation of all those things. So this point is little complex for you to understand. Though it is little complex, if you just uh, refer back to what I have spelled out in the video, you will get a clarity. Okay, but as of now, don't worry. I am keeping in front of you as many type of in-depth functionalities as possible at this particular age of time for you to understand. Are there for you to clearly by heart, some are there just to introduce you that these are also advanced concepts that are there. So don't worry about these complexities. You will understand them once you are little familiar with Java programming. Okay, so this line of code is actually meant for demonstrating how do we make a call to the MSG function without actually creating an object of the A class, without practically using that particular line. I have shown you A01 equal to new A of. Without using that line, if I want to create if I want to make a call to the message function, then this particular line is to be used. This program will help them. So this is another competitive exam question for you people. That's why I kept it. Demonstrate all those aspects which we have learned. I have kept one program. This is just for a practice purpose. It is not compulsory for you to memorize it. Okay? Just for those who want to go through a real world scenario, how it works, I have kept those things. So account, and then how to test that account. Two programs are there. This is first part. This is the second part. Just if you are interested, go through it. I hope I have clearly revised back all those concepts back again to you people. If there is any doubt, please raise it out. I will be waiting for 2 more minutes. Because I said that by 11 o'clock we will try to see the execution. It is 10:56 now. If you have any doubt, please raise it. Otherwise, I will go for the execution part. There is no doubt in those topics. Shall we move for the practical execution? Okay, Mat, 2 minutes are over for waiting. I'm going for the execution part now. So yesterday I was trying to show you how to install that particular software, but since the installation is already done on my system, I'm not able to do it successfully back again. I'm not able to show you all those things back again. But it's very simple. It is not very complex. All you need to do is you need to have these two files, only and only these two files. What you need to do is you need to double click this file. It will start checking whether the system is having that particular Java installed or not. And once it is detected that Java is not installed, it will give you two screens, two or three screens. Let you click on next, next, and then click on install. But here, since I have already installed it, it is giving me the error message. You may see this particular already installed type of dialog box coming up on the screen. Okay. So I don't want to further get distracted with what was already done. Just to show you what settings do we need to make after making that particular installation done, what we need to exactly do is, please do remember or make a note of these points. You need to right click on your this PC or my computer. On the left hand side, I am having that window open. Otherwise, you can just go onto your desktop, and if you have any my computer there, you can right click on that particular desktop. But here I'm not having that particular this PC, so I'm right clicking on it. The basic point is you right click on this PC or your my computer, go for its properties. In the properties, you will have on the left hand part control panel home, and below it you will have advanced system settings. Click on that advanced system settings. You will have various tabs opened up, and one of the tab is, usually you will get this computer name as a tab. One of the tabs inside this prompt is advanced. Go for advanced tab. Okay. In the advanced tab, you will have certain user profiles and startup recovery performance, all those things. And below that, you will have environmental variables. Click on those in that button, environmental variables. You will get a pop-up with two sections. One is the first part pertaining to a specific user. Suppose on your system there are 3 to 4 users, and if you want this setting to be applied only for one specific user, then you can apply that setting over here. Okay, but I don't want, I don't have any multiple number of users. I have only one user, so I'm going for system variables. And I always suggest you to go for system variables. Okay, in this section, what you need to do is you need to work with two. Here you can see there is variable and here it is value, right? You need to work with two variables. One is path. You can see the spelling over here, PATH, path. Another is class path. This path is a variable that will be by default present inside your computer. But this class path will not be present if you have not installed Java. You have to create that particular variable. Okay. So what we will do is, first we will edit this particular path variable. So to edit it, you can either double click it or you select it and click on edit. What this path variable will contain is all your applications which have been installed, major applications which have been installed, where they are, their actual directories are present, where their executable files are present. That particular values will be listed in this path variable. So you can see that I am having some Python software installed up, I have Java installed up, I have got Oracle installed up, I have got some System32 files installed, I have got some Windows PowerShell installed up. All these different softwares are there which have been installed on my system, and those paths have been listed here. And one out of it is the directory for my Java's files. All the Java compiler files, all the Java related import and all those packages, all those files are considered as binary files. And those binary files path has been entered here. So all you need to do is simple. Suppose if you don't have this listed here, for the first time when you are installing, it will not be there. Usually you will install your Java in C drive, right? But for my sake, for development of for any software development, I don't want to mix software installations with that of my operating system. So I installed it onto a separate drive called as D drive, which I have kept separate just for the installation directories purpose. Okay. So I have installed Java in that particular D drive. So I have to check where I have installed my Java and I have to add that particular thing. Similarly, where you have installed your C language, Java software, you have to go for that particular directory. So simple, go for your computer. Usually you will install your Java program in C drive. Inside program files, you will find a Java folder here. But for me, it is in D drive, so I am going for D drive, then program files, then I have got Java. The same folder will be available in your C drive program files folder. So open this Java folder, you will find two directories inside your computer also when you have installed, and here the same procedure is there. So what I need to do is, I have to open the JDK. You can see there are two. One is JDK, second is JRE. Be cautious in this. One is JDK, second is JRE. Open this JDK. You will find multiple files and folders here. Inside this JDK, go for bin. This bin is actually going to contain a lot of tools which are a part of our Java's execution programming for our program purpose. For example, the Java compiler, here it is. The Java compiler file is this one. The Java execution interpreter is this one. So you can see there are multiple other. We have a view of Applet Viewer, right? We have learned about Applet Viewer, which was meant for, instead of browsers, if you want to go through your Applet programs, scan through your checking, error mechanism checking, then you had Applet Viewer there, right? So all these things are mentioned in your bin folder. So what we'll say to compiler is, okay, to our system is, if you want any of the tools that are being mentioned regarding Java, go to this particular directory. So what I did, observe carefully here. I have opened, right from the beginning, I have opened my JDK. Inside JDK, I have opened my bin folder. Now, what majority of the students will do is, they will click on bin. And they will say, this bin is again and again being shown. No, if you want to select the entire path, click on a blank space. Again, I am telling, don't click on the wordings. Click on a blank space beside in the address bar. Okay. If I click on the blank space beside in the address bar, the entire path will get shortened up with slashes and it will be already selected up. Just press Ctrl C for copying that one, or else right click on this particular path and click on copy. Fine. I prefer Ctrl C because if you right click it, again it may just make a click there. Instead of right click, it will become a left click because of your mouse troubles. So don't go for that. Click on blank space in your address bar, click on Ctrl C. Copy it. Go for your path variable, click on new, click on Ctrl V for pasting. But you can see here that it's already present exactly in the third line. So I need not do it again. What you need to do is, you need to press Ctrl V, then press on OK button. Just press Ctrl button, OK button, press OK again, press OK again. 3 times you have to click on OK buttons after it. Okay, fine. Now again, going back to the same system settings, we have told our system that whenever Java compiler is being asked for, please make use of that particular directory. But we also know that Java is a secure language. It uses the security because of the Java runtime environment. Okay, so to have that Java runtime environment, the sandbox execution, you need to set another variable value. So the same procedure, you will go for your system configuration. Now you will click on advanced system settings, go for advanced tab, click on environmental variables. Now here, this class path will not be there in your system because you have not yet installed the Java program, right? So what you need to do is, don't click on any of the lines or any of the parts here. Click on new. Okay. Type here as a variable name as class path without any space. Do remember without any space. Class path. Simple. CLASSPATH. Class path. Now for its value, get back to the installation directory. We were there in the Java directory, right? JRE, Java Runtime Environment, is a separate folder, right? Open that folder. In this one, don't go for bin. Bin already we have mentioned for our Java compiler, for our JDK, right? We'll go for LIB, library. Go for this library. In this library, we are concentrating on the runtime environment, right? So runtime environment is a file present as rt.jar, rt.runtime.java archive, rt.jar. This is the important file which we need to concentrate on. Okay, right click it, go for its properties. Here you will find this path being listed up, right? But we want rt.jar should also be mentioned. So what we'll do is, we'll click as usual for the bin for JDK what we did. Okay, it will get highlighted. Again click on the blank space so that that highlightation is gone. You can see there are backward slashes, right? Enter one more backslash. You will get a list of all the files that are there in that particular file. We are concentrating on rt.jar, right? rt.jar. Type that particular word exactly without any errors. Be cautious. No capitals errors should be made here. rt.jar. This is a file which we were referring to. Now select all this directory by making use of your mouse pointer or something like that. Once you have selected, press Ctrl C. Now get back to your variable which you wanted to initialize as. Press Ctrl V in the value part. Press a semicolon. Click on OK. Fine. Press a semicolon. Click on OK. But right now it's already there for me, so I'm not clicking on OK. Then once you have clicked on OK, it will get inserted here. The variable will be created along with its value. You can clearly see that particular part has been done already for me. Fine. Now click on OK again. Click on OK. And then your installation is complete. It will run fine. There will not be any issue. Now how to cross check whether your Java installation is perfect or not. The simple thing is, open any directory. Open any directory, whatever you are working with or whatever you are doing, wherever you are trying to create your programs. Suppose I am trying to create the programs in IT folder, in Java programs folder. Click on the address bar, type cmd. It will directly open the command prompt for you with those directories already listed up. If you don't do like this, and if you go for start, then run, then cmd, the problem is it will go for C user and then the default folder. I don't want to work in that folder. I want to work in my execution folder, Java folder, right? So I will directly click on this address bar, type cmd and press enter. It will enter into the Java folder because all my programs are present in this folder. Now I will just type to cross check whether installation is perfect or not. I will type javac and press enter. It will list up all those files which were present earlier in Javac. Now I will type to check the runtime environment variable, class path variable, whether it got successfully entered or not. I'll just type Java and it should list up all the files back to you and pertaining to Java command to you. So this is what and how you will cross check whether your installation is done or not. Otherwise, it will say command cannot be identified or something like that type of error, known command error, something like that. Okay. So here we are coming short of our time. हेलो विजय भाई, एसडीसी में हूँ, क्लास ले रहा था भाई, अब भी फिनिश करा, चाय को जाएंगे क्या? बाहर आ जाओ, अनिल भी चाय को जाएंगे बोल के बोला था। आना, क्या होता? क्या क्या है जी भाई काम? अच्छा, अनिल है तो एक बार फोन। अच्छा, हार्डवेयर लैब में वर्क में है क्या? ओके, ठीक है, चलो मैं फोन कर लेता। ओके चलो। अभी फिनिश करा क्लास, जाके आ जाएंगे। हेलो सर। सर, हेलो, आवाज आ रही सर मेरी? हेलो सर, आवाज आ रही मेरी आपको? हेलो सर, आवाज आ रही मेरी आपको? फ्री है, जाएंगे? चलो आ जाओ, जाएंगे। हाँ, आता हूँ।